We's live.
We's live, guys. So, Jarrell, what have you been up to?
I have been up to with lots of fishing. That's what I've been doing.
Lots of
I
fishing.
went what? Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, or something. I don't know. I just went a lot. I went a bunch of times this week.
Wow. Not me.
And my
I tried to
body
make a
is.
video about glug. Did you see that one?
Yeah, that was, and I forgot. I'm glad you mentioned that. Yeah. So
What'd you think?
that was a really good video. I was like, hey, bravo, friend. That was a great video. I like that video a lot. I really did. I shared it out all over the place. That was a good video. I like that one a lot.
Wow.
It was cool. I like that one. I liked it.
Is it different?
Yeah. Like seriously, I was like, hey, I'm like, you know what I mean? I'm like, you just might have caught on to something there. I really did like it. No joke. I was really impressed.
Oh no.
And like right now, my cheeks are getting like. I'm like smiling too hard. That was a good video. It really was.
Well, I'm gonna try to do my next one. My next one might be like that one, but you know. So we have a few people in here, and before we say hi to everybody, I want to say happy birthday to my little brother Anthony. I don't know if he's watching, but maybe he will, you know, see the playback or something. But happy birthday, Anthony. He is 41 today. So
hold up, you said your little brother? If that's your little brother, how old are you? I'm joking.
That is not nice, Jarrell.
I'm joking.
You're not nice. So let's say hi to some people before I have to click you off of here, okay? So I see Martin S from the UK. 922 Crappy Barbecue. There's Catfish in Fresno. Chad Thompson. And there's Laughing Cat. That's Thomas. Misplaced Fishing. 351 Cleveland. Your turn, Jarrell. Who do you see?
Alrighty, there's Catfish Fever and Outdoors, Mr. Lynn. There's Wannabe Outdoors, Matt. He's Matt to me. I should start calling him Matty a long time ago, but I've been calling him Matt, so I have to stick with Matt now. I'm sorry, man. I apologize.
Here's a new one. Swoop Like Me.
Yeah, and also Jefferson Einstein. I have never seen Jefferson Einstein and Swoop Like Me. So we appreciate y'all coming in here. We appreciate y'all. Thank y'all. And then there's my daddy, Mr. Joe Gomez, Mr. Father. He brought me some bait earlier. I'm like, awesome, thank you. I had to fillet it and everything.
ELD. What was this? That Einstein? What is that?
Yeah, he's new to me too. We appreciate you coming in here, man.
Albert's brother?
Is it? Whoops. There's Solo. What's up, Ricky? What's up, Ricky? How you doing, man? And sometime
Joe
in
Gomez
the future,
out there.
Yeah, and sometime in the future, Solo, Mr. Ricky, we're gonna try and meet up somewhere and go fishing together, and he'll be live on my live stream fishing with me. Sometime in the future, we got to set that up too.
Sometime in the future, like what? Soon, or I mean, I know tomorrow's future. You know that
it could be next week, next month, 2047. I don't know.
Yeah, then I'll be very old.
You'd be like what, 32 in 2047?
I'll be too old to even talk about it.
You'll be all right.
I'll be in somebody's future nursing home. That's where I'm gonna be
You'll be fine.
with a walker and a fishing pole. There's Donald Long and Dale Paisley. So, guys, you
What's up,
remember
Chris?
our guest. It's been a while. Malik Currington from Family Budget Fisherman. Okay? He filled us with so much knowledge on bass fishing and budget rods, reels, and things, and that we just couldn't fit it in one episode. And I was getting emails saying, when are you going to bring him back? When are you going to bring him back? So, guys, without further ado, let's see our guest.
Hello, hello.
Hey.
Hey, how you doing,
How are
Malik?
you this
I'm
evening?
doing well. How are you all
That's
doing
good.
today?
That's good. Doing fine.
Good. It's good to be back. Good to be back online.
You've had many requests, okay? Let's get Malik back on here.
Wow.
Yeah, that was an awesome episode because I watched. I was in there the whole time, and yeah, it was awesome because he stayed a long while, and I'm like, oh man, I'm like, you know what I mean? It was just like you said, it was covered so much, and there's still so much more to come. And that was great. That was great.
It was like immediately after we got off the live, people were like, "Can he come back? Can he come back?" So, guys, he's back. If you have questions, just throw them in the chat, and we'll try to get to them. And I think I sent you a question from a viewer.
Yes, a viewer asked a question regarding the Bassmaster Classic and some some fishing equipment.
Did you want to? Oh, hold on. We are shooting.
Can you hear me? I can hear you. And
it's on me this time.
Oh, okay.
How you doing, Monty?
ELD says the educator, lots of knowledge. What? Okay. So, where do we want to begin this evening?
Wherever you want to begin.
It was winter.
Yeah. It's like a puzzle. It's like a big old box of puzzles. You know, you just like, what do I do? How do I start off?
or one of those,
favorite
meals. You know, when you get a good looking meal that's too good to eat, and you go, where do I begin to eat the meal?
Exactly. You're like, I want to eat this together, but then again, I want to eat that with that.
So,
my goodness.
When you were here last time, it was winter.
Yes.
So we're moving into a new season. What would you recommend for this season?
Well, for now that we're moving into a new season, and I say this particularly for those individuals who are new to the sport, or those individuals who are trying to get into different areas of the sport. Remember, the sport we all love is called fishing, using a rod and reel. Mm-hmm. But there are different areas of it. You know, there are those of you who really love to fish for carp, for catfish, and then there are those who like to fish for bass and crappie and bluegill. Then you have your trout fishermen and so forth. So the thing that I would prefer everyone, no matter who you are, is when you're first getting into the sport, or for you all on your end of the country, starting to thaw out, you know, the very first thing you'd want to do is just get out there and catch some fish. Mm-hmm. You know, get your extremities going, get used to being out there, you know, for a while. So start off using equipment that you would normally use to catch multi-species. So no matter what it is, Don't get out there with big, gigantic swim baits, or, you're just looking for the big balls of bait that's going to get you the biggest fish. Just get out there and catch some fish, and catch a lot of them. Because what you're going to learn all over the country, we're all dealing with this, where winter has gone past official spring. All of us are dealing with it. And whether you're in the Northeast, whether you're here out in the West, where you get these unusual weather patterns, it's not supposed to be here in Redding, California. It's not supposed to be this cold, yet it is. So the fish are also saying that, they're out there in the water. They have a sense barometrically that they should be doing something different. So as they are getting used to the change in the weather pattern, not the season, but the weather pattern, you are as well. And your goal is to get out there and just catch them and find out what is it that they're going to be responding to. And every year is something different. The water's going to be different. The water is going to dictate the bait fish, as it were. Even if you're going for fish, I know there's a carp called a big head, I think it is, where it doesn't have a stomach. Well, that means that the plankton that's in the water, that plankton is just not going to be in that spot. It's going to be somewhere else. You got to know where it's going to be in larger quantities, so that you can get the kind of fish that you're looking for. So just go fishing. Don't get specific. Don't try to look at any kind of particular style. Just go fishing.
Yeah.
And once you do that and get used to it, let the water warm up a little bit, and then you'll start to figure out where you would like to be.
Catfish Fever and Outdoors said best bass lure to use this time of year in Iowa cold water. That's a question right there.
In the best lure to use right now is anything that looks like a crawdad. Plain and simple.
Yeah.
When the weather is changing from cold to warm, bass are trying to beef up in particular. And this is strictly for bass. They're trying to beef up, and they need to get the best, the largest concentration of calories they could possibly get.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for bass, you're looking for anything that looks like a crawdad, something that is brown, something that is orange, and particularly orange, dark orange to a fiery type orange. And that could be hard bait, that could be a soft bait, just that orange color. Yeah. And that's literally all over the country. Iowa in particular. Matter of fact, there's a guy up there in the Iowa area called Debo. Debo's Fishing.
Yeah, he makes great videos. Yeah.
Yeah. He's primarily a bank fisherman. He his particular specialty is getting out there once it thaws out with with some sort of a lipless or shallow diving orange crankbait and starting to hammer him. He and his circle of people up there.
Yeah. And like that's how I found that's how my most success in the spring is square bill crankbaits that are red and black or day glow orange. I can hammer them like crazy during the spring. If something else, here's another tip. Even if y'all are using different lures and y'all catch other bass, those bass that y'all catch. Something happened there.
Where did he go?
There you go. There we go.
There we go. We're back.
Here's another tip. Just like if y'all don't know, whenever y'all like bass fishing in the spring, whenever y'all catch a bass like with a different lure, if his mouth is like red, that comes from eating those crawdads.
Oh man, yeah, it comes from those crawdads.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, see, one of the things about crawdads in cold water is they don't move very far.
Yeah,
and
so
those bass will sit there, and like a vacuum cleaner, they just suck up the entire area and spit out what they don't like, and they got a good meal right there. And those crushes in the back of their throat, those crawdads don't have a chance.
Yeah.
They don't have a chance. So, it's a it's a meal that just comes to them.
Yeah. So like if y'all are getting if y'all having a tough time in y'all's area or lake and y'all catch some bass that have those red mouths, have that red mouth, that kind of tells you too, hey, maybe I should start switching to something that's red or something that mimics a crawdad, something like that, and that might start helping you out too in your area if you're not using those. So and that does help. Like I said, I do. Kind of what you said. The anything brown that mimics the crawdad when the water temperature rises in the spring.
Right.
It's free food. They'll start hammering those crawdads all day long.
They will. They will.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. And then even if you, and the beauty of crankbait fishing is you don't need to be an expert at throwing a crankbait, whether it's a square bill or shallow diving. I prefer to use the term shallow diving most of the time, because when you say square bill, that's industry language. So, but if you say a shallow diver, most people will know 0 to 3 feet, or it's pretty much where shallow water is.
Yeah.
So you say that shallow diving, the crankbait is the best in that, or a lipless, something that does not allow for the bait to dive on purpose. It uses its own weight to do so. So in those cases, you can hammer them like you said. You need to be an expert with it. You just throw it and reel it in. That's all you do. Yeah. Because those fish, they're coming out of cold water, getting into slightly warmer water, especially when the water starts to hit the early 50s, like 51, 52 degrees, and they are starving. And they literally, they're just going to go after whatever looks like a crawdad. They will go after minnows, but they know the crawdads are slow.
They know they're not going to move.
They're not going anywhere. They're coming out because crawdads buried.
If this is just laying there.
Yes.
But in this question, Geiger has a top frog wouldn't work.
So what? Yeah, a topwater frog which one would be good now? To be honest with you, topwater fishing in the early spring is not as good as it is as the water warms up and you get that early morning, late afternoon bite. Now, having said that, if topwater is your thing and you just want to try it, you stick with the whites or blacks. That just rule of thumb, stick with whites or blacks. And I'm speaking to this individual as if every person in this category, again, is kind of new to the sport. There are other colors to consider, yellows and greens and blue and black combinations, but stick to whites and blacks. You stick to white during the day, black in the evening, early morning, late afternoon. And you'll, if there is a topwater bite, you'll get it.
Yeah.
Oh, indeed.
And also how the frogs look, the topwater frogs, it really don't matter what the top looks like because they see that silhouette looking up at it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So don't get also, because I know a lot of people get confused. Like, well, this one's like this. I'm like, well, the top color really don't matter because what they're doing is they're looking up at that silhouette whenever they come up and hammer it.
Well, 90% of baits that are sold on the market are sold to people. They're not sold to.
Hey, this one looks cool. I want this one.
So yeah, you get about a smaller 10% where they're actually, this is actually for this, for this body of water or for that forage. But most baits are sold to people, so the colors are for people to grab. That's what that's about. Mm-hmm.
And but you're in California. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
My next thing was just to make sure when you're buying a topwater frog, particularly if you're new to the sport, stay away from the popper frogs because that's a technique specific type of bait. And you want to just stick with a basic frog that will skim across the top of the water. And that helps a whole lot. Same thing goes. Let me just catch this question for that whopper plopper. Same thing. Whopper ploppers are easy to throw. They're very easy. You don't have to get them to walk or anything like that.
Yeah.
You just throw it and retrieve it, and whatever size that happens to be, that works. I personally don't throw a lot of topwater baits in the early spring. I'm throwing crawdad style baits.
Yeah.
However, if I do sense that there might be a topwater bite, I'll be ready. It's just I don't start off with that.
That's the same thing I do, man. I'm like, okay, here's my red and blacks, my orange colors, but I'm gonna have my meat and potatoes rod, you know,
amen to that.
with my frog on it. I roll up to the lake and everything's hitting top water. I'm ready to hit that top water first.
You're right about it.
Yeah. I'm in Texas. I'm over here in Texas, and you're in California.
Mm-hmm.
So like over there, does the topwater bite start about like 58 degrees? Like, is it about 58?
53.
About 53. Okay.
And that's only because we have a lot of moving water here. Where most of your Texas water is gonna move a lot.
Yeah.
By comparison, but our systems are connected to rivers in a big way here in California. So 53 is usually that's the cracking number.
Oh yeah, it's 58 over here, but yeah, like you said about that moving water, but yeah, man, I stay ready for that top bite though, no joke.
I always got one to check.
Okay,
ready to go.
Jarrell. Now, here's something from Aaron. A lot don't know the difference on the lips to dive at different depths. Now, what is he talking about?
He's talking about. Let me see if I can find some equipment over here. What he's talking about is the different depths that a bait will dive. Okay, here's some hard baits right here. I can even open up some. So you have some baits. So, for example, this is talk about a square bill. This is considered a square bill right here. Okay. And it's a shallow diving bait. If you can see that there. This is not going to dive, no matter how long you cast it. It's not going to dive any longer than maybe, 4 or 5 feet. Okay. This is a shallow diving bait or square bill, as noted by the bill itself. Okay. Then you have some deeper diving. This is a KVD. I don't have a relationship with Strike King, but I just wanted to make mention of it.
Yeah, I've caught so many with that sexy shad color, that Strike King. That thing's money, man.
It's my favorite color.
Yeah, man, we get along so well already, man.
To God be the glory.
I need to go to California with you.
Man, that might be doable. That might be doable. We might have to make some arrangements. So here we go, right here. This is a deeper diving crankbait here. So I want you to note the differences. This guy is about 10 feet. You could probably get it to 12 feet. So I want you to note the difference in the bills. Notice one is shorter, one is longer. And the purpose of it is to dive deeper in the water where we believe the fish that are wanting to react or eat something like this happens to be. It's usually the question is the bigger the bill, the deeper the dive. It's usually the longer. I guess if you're saying bigger means longer, yes. The longer it is, because you have some big baits with short bills, and then you have some. So, for example, this bait here. Let me pull this one out here. This bait here is bigger. You can see that there. This bait here is bigger, but it's got a shorter bill. So it's usually the longer the bill, the deeper the dive.
Okay.
Longer the bill, the deeper the dive. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy though. Some of the lips on those crankbaits, they're almost as big as the body of the crankbait as long.
Oh yeah.
Because you get some that dive like 25, 30 feet, which is insane. Which is for those really deep lakes when they're using deep diving crankbaits.
you can get some crankbaits that dive 30 feet really quickly. Matter of fact, here's one right here. This one right here, it's a little older because I've caught a lot of fish on it. This dives 25 feet. You give it a good cast, and I want you to see the difference, even with the one that has longer. See how much bigger that bill is? See how much bigger that bill is?
Yeah.
And how much longer it is? And this, line them up so you can see. Yeah, this is a big bait. And I mean, this one, it digs. It digs. Yeah. You got to get a good long cast for it so it can get to its maximum depth. But this baby right here, this is a 25. This goes down about 25 feet. And if they're down there, if the fish are down there and they're biting, they'll hit it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So it just depends.
Uh-oh.
It really, yeah, that was me. I dropped something there. So it really just depends on what you're looking for.
So this is going to sound like a very elementary question, but so you say that one dives 25 feet down. So there are bass that deep?
Oh, yes, indeed.
I mean, okay.
There are.
I always thought, since you're casting and just reeling, I always thought that those baits were just on top of the water because you see the bass jump out at them. So I never thought that you could find a bass that was that deep.
That deep. So. Yeah, there are a combination of factors that would have a fish that deep, but the number one of all the factors that would have a fish down that deep, number one is, where are the bait fish? Where is the food?
Okay.
Number two is something called a thermocline. The water itself, where that comfort level in the water is for fish in general. And the bait fish will generally follow that thermocline. Water, lakes and rivers have a tendency to turn, where it can be hotter on the top and cooler on the bottom, or cooler on the bottom and warmer on, and vice versa. So, so it depends on the time of year, weather, and etc. But what the fish are looking for are where are those bait fish? And those bait fish are going, where am I comfortable? So as they're following the bait fish, if the bait fish go down 25 feet, they're going 25 feet. They're going 30 feet. If no matter where the forage is, that's where your predators are. And the prey is always looking for that level of comfort in a lake or body of water called a thermocline. And they're almost never, like I'd say, in any body of water, like 90% of your fish are going to be in the thermocline, no matter where it is.
Yeah.
No, and it doesn't matter what part of the country you're in, what body of water you're in. If you're in that thermocline, you are where the fish are, and everybody's there. Everybody. And so if a pond turns over to kill all the fish, not necessarily, because you got ponds that just have fish in them all the time. That there will be some fish. Thermoclines, when a body of water turns over, it's just a natural thing for it based upon the air temperature. So when the air temperature is cold, it's cold at the surface level. And that compounds itself, and as water moves down, sections of water moves down, the water gets warmer and warmer if it's still cold at the top. And then vice versa, if it's hot at the top, it'll get cooler and cooler as it moves down. What kills fish is not the fact that the pond is turning over, it's that it's turning over with so much speed that the fish can't keep up with where the bait fish are. The bait fish can't keep up where the plankton are, and everybody's starving to death.
It kind of like shocks them, right? Kind of like a shock to them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you've ever planted a fish in a body of water and you just threw them in the body of water, you're gonna kill them off within an hour. It works that quickly. Right. So what you're trying to do is introduce them where it's comfortable, and everybody's trying to move in that direction, and that's what tends to happen to fish. But that's what fishermen in general, no matter, again, no matter what species you're looking for these factors that influence a fish, and then make it personal. You know, you don't feel like eating the same thing every day, or you don't feel like eating the same categories every day. You know, sometimes you feel like salad. Most time you feel like steak. It just, you know, where are you today? If it's warm outside, do you want to eat? Do you want to be drinking a bunch of coffee? I mean, I'm a coffee drinker, so my answer is yes, but that's not everyone's answer. You know, and if it's cold outside, do you want to just be chugging ice water? You know, it really comes down to that. So think about it even in terms of where you are.
Yeah, it's also like, you remember when, you remember like when someone used to push you in the pool, you fall in the pool, oh my God, it's cold. Well, that shock you get, that shock's enough to kill a fish.
That's right. It sure is.
You know, it won't kill us, it won't kill a fish.
For the most part, you can recover. But just like that guy just said, there was a person who just mentioned that sudden temperature change is what kills the fish. Yes, but they can't move. They cannot move across the water fast enough to find that comfort level, and that's what usually kills them. Oh yeah. Yeah.
We have touch on low and high pressure for them.
Low and high pressure for fish in general. We're talking about barometric pressure. When barometric pressure just simply means when, you know, how do the fish feel in terms of how thick or thin the water feels. Now, the best way to put it is humidity. You know, when in the air, when things are very humid, we have a tougher time breathing. We're a lot less comfortable. You know, even though the actual weather temperature may be 80 degrees, 80 degrees in dry weather and 80 degrees with high humidity, two different things. And so for fish, it's the same thing. Water expands and contracts like everything else. Now, I'm not a biologist. I've just been fishing for 48 years. I figured it out. You know, so water expands and contracts. You know, so so when there is a low pressure, fish tend not to move around a lot. When there is a high pressure, fish tend not to move around a lot because they're looking for comfort. So when the water is really, really thin, that means there's not a lot of oxygen in the water. And when that high pressure hits, those fish are trying to find, again, what we call that thermocline, where there's more oxygen in the water and they can thrive. When the water is really, really cold, there's oxygen in the water, but it's so cold. These are warm water. Most fish, freshwater fish, are warm water animals, and they don't move around. They're like us. When you get in the cold, you don't want to move too much. You know, so they stay right there, meaning that the water is so thick that going through their gill plates, they can't really enjoy getting the oxygen out of the water into their bodies. And they get cold and they want to stay right there. So that has an effect on fish, but that also has an effect on how they eat, what they eat, where they eat, etc. When it happens too quickly, it kills them. When it doesn't happen quickly enough, it kills them. And one of the things when fishermen, in general, when fishermen fish, for example, the Great Lakes, and if you're fishing inshore, you ever notice when they're fishing in bass fishing tournaments, they always have to go out there with some sort of a needle because they're catching fish that are so deep, 30 feet, 40 feet down, that as they're bringing them up through the water column, the barometric pressure changes. And for some of those fish, they're actually choking when they get up at the top. And they have to actually take a needle and puncture the lung area. They'll hit the lung area just enough so that their air bladder, rather, so the air bladder contracts and they can breathe. So that has a huge effect. Yes. So you always have to watch that. And sometimes when you're fishing for bottom fish, it's the same thing. Why am I not catching a lot of carp in this water or catfish in this water, but I'm catching them over there? It's the same reason for bass, catfish, bluegill, crappie, because they're all feeling it the same way. Fish are always looking for that comfort level. And barometric pressure, yes, I agree. Barometric pressure has a lot of effect on water in general. It does have effect on shallow water because it's just where it is. I mean, it starts right there with air temperature. So, but when you're in moving water, fish tend to be a little bit more resilient in moving water. So rivers and streams and sloughs, aqueducts, etc. They tend to be a little more resilient because moving water is more consistent.
Yeah, they're more in shape, so they're used to doing stuff more than just the fish in the lake and just sitting around.
Yeah, you can't sit down in the river. You gotta find a rock.
You're on the go.
Yeah. But believe it or not, they always do find a place because the water, as you know, rivers never flow in one direction. They flow every direction. And fish look for that as well. And as long as they can find it, and the forage is coming past them, they're doing pretty good. But barometric pressure does not hurt as much. It does hurt. It's just not as much.
Yeah.
It's not as much. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. So when you're out there fishing, you always want to know more about what's happening to the water than the air. I know a lot of people are a bit shy when it comes to rain, but sometimes going out fishing in the rain is some of the best fishing in the world.
Yeah.
I mean, you can just, whatever the species is, you just get out there and catch them. Especially I know, Shireena, you're a little rain shy, huh?
I noticed the spring rain, at least over here in
I've been out a couple times.
A couple times.
Couple times, yeah.
Spring rain.
Well, I have to make a video to say I did
it. That's funny, but had a good time in the rain yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah.
Out there, they catch a lot of carp.
As long as as long as it's safe for you to be out there, you can have a marvelous time out there in the rain. Yep.
Yeah.
Summer evenings after. Oh my goodness.
Exactly.
If you could ever get that weird that anomaly where there's a summer rain, if you can get that, oh my goodness, you have some of the best fishing you could ever enjoy. Just period. Yeah. Because the one thing about barometric pressure is that it's always at the best comfort level when it's a warm rain versus when it is a cold, whatever, or a very, very hot, a warm rain is, oh my goodness. That's why the Amazon grows such big fish. You ever see Amazon has the biggest fish anywhere for fresh water, and I personally believe, and this is an anecdote, of course, is because of that. Even the earthworms out there, they get earthworms that are 3 feet long out there.
Yeah, they look insane. It looks creepy. Yeah. Man, imagine pulling them on the hook and throwing it out there.
Whoa. You're throwing snakes out there.
Yeah. So like the kind of like what you said about the rain, like do you do any night bass fishing or anything like that? Like do you do more, or is it more just during the day?
Most of my fishing happens to be in the daytime. Yeah. However, I have been known to get out there at night and catch some bass. Matter of fact, if I can pull it up, when there have been times when I would get out, and of course you asked me about it, and I can't find the photograph. I think that always happens.
Yeah,
but but I'll look for it. But yeah, I like to get out, particularly here in California. Oh, here we go. So I don't know if you can see this, but this is a picture of me at night. It's actually 3:30 in the morning. 3:30 in the morning, and I'm catching 3 and 4 pound bass.
Yeah,
all night. I didn't catch that the entire day I was out. My wife took the picture. She's laying down on the other side of the boat. She's got a blanket on. And so, yeah, I just started catching them from 11 o'clock till 4 o'clock the next morning. I must have caught 4 bags.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So I have caught lots of bass at night. Now, crappie, you know, that's a night fisherman's, you know, dream to catch crappie at night. So you can catch crappie, catfish, carp. You can, speaking of that, you can bow fish at night and then also catch carp.
Yes, bow fishing is my new thing. So.
Oh yeah, you can catch them all at night. But bass fishing, the best bass fishing at night is usually when it's really, really hot during the day, and you get out there just after everyone is off the water, and the big girls come out. Yeah, and you don't you saw the headlamp on my head. It's not to be able to see what's going on generally, but it's just to look for the pockets in the water. And I'm pitching and flipping like I would during the daytime, and I'm pulling out big 3, 4, 5 pound bass all night long. Yeah, yeah, you can hurt your wrists during those times.
See, I'm like 75% night fisherman. And that 25% that's a daytime fisherman, that's when it starts getting cold. You know what I mean? So I notice because I used to night fish for bass like a lot. Right. But I noticed when I like I don't know that I'm bringing it up because like you know because you live over in California and I'm over in Texas. Have you noticed like is it just me or have you noticed that whenever you night fish the numbers go down? But your catches, they're quality bass. You know
no doubt about it. No doubt about it.
You're not going to catch like the little dinks at night. You know, you can go out and catch about 25, 30 little dinks during the day. You go out and put in the same time, 8 hours at night, 6 hours at night, you're going to catch 3 to 5 fish, but they're all going to be like 4 pounds and over because that's when all the big boys are hungry.
Well, let me ask you this. If you were a little dink, would you be out at nighttime?
Yeah, see, exactly.
You know, you already know that monster bass is sitting right over there. Your best place is to be next to a rock and don't move until you're big enough to be able to challenge it. But other than that, no, I wouldn't go anywhere either.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to be able to see.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just saying, you want to be able, if you were a little bitty fish, you want to be able to see for at least, you know, a few yards. Yeah, you know, when you are a big fish.
Has a question. What is your favorite budget line for multi-species fishing?
My favorite budget line. Well, that's a complicated question. Well, for it is. Now, in general, and I'll just tell you right off, if I am fishing braided line in general is expensive. Okay. But there are 2 types that I would try. Most people are familiar enough with Power Pro. Power Pro, I think, is the best value for a very popular braided line. And you have to say braid in terms, you know, talk about braid in terms of value because there is no inexpensive braid. Yeah, braid is expensive. So value meaning its durability and its ability to maintain its original shape for a longer period of time. I personally use something called Fins. Okay, this is an actual manufacturer in Kentucky. And they make just about every braid in the country except for Shimano's Power Pro.
Oh, okay. So, I never heard of that one before.
Yeah. This company is a manufacturer of braided line, and they also are producers of just about everything Abu Garcia has, a lot of P-line stuff. And so they have an ability to put certain technologies into their brand of line that are better. So, for example, this says, if you can see that there, that says 15-pound test. That used to say 2 pound. The diameter is 2 pound in diameter. And let me tell you, It's every bit what they say it is.
Mm-hmm.
This one right here is 6-pound test diameter, and this is a monofilament equivalent. But look at the break strength, 45 pounds. Well, the closest you can get to that is Power Pro, which is 830, for example. So I've always used them. Now, if I am going to, if I'm not going to use any kind of braid, if I'm going to use a monofilament, I usually don't do a 100% monofilament. I will usually do a mono. It's a mono filament, and it's a copolymer, we call it, because it's fluorocarbon and monofilament together, and that's the P line. This is actually 100% fluorocarbon, but it's the P line version of it. I thought I had it in here. No, I don't have it in here, but it is P line has a fluoro clear. This is fluorocarbon, but they have something called fluoro clear.
Yeah,
and I like that best. You can get them on sale. You can get these spools on sale for $6 to $8, and each one of them has enough line to fill up 2 or 3 spools, depending on what size of your reel it is. I use 3,000, 2,500, and 3,000 size reels most of the time, and for that reason, I can fill up 2 or 3 spools real easy. So I would recommend that if you're when you say budget, that would be it for me. I do use in the rare instance that I would use straight monofilament. Oh, here's fluoro clear right here. It's fluoro clear. In the rare instance that I would use monofilament only, I use Stren Magnathin. Stren Magnathin, which is another very inexpensive line, but I use that only for if I'm in a pond or I'm training or beginner fishermen. I recommend beginner fishermen never use braid because you're going to be frustrated. Start with a monofilament or a fluoro clear, because when you do that, if you have to break off or you have to retie, it's not as big of a deal. But Stren Magnathin, what I like about it is the fact that for every break strength, for every level at the break strength it is, it's a diameter smaller than what its competitors are. So, for example, if their 8-pound test is the diameter of, say, 8 pounds, the Magnathin has a diameter of 6-pound test, but the break strength is still at 8. Yeah. So you get more line on the spool.
Yeah. So that'll be good. That'll be a good one to start off with. Like you said, beginner. And this question says,
I'm trying to take it all in, guys. So if I look lost and confused, I am.
Okay. Well, and again, so we're having some fun right now as well. But whenever you're transitioning in, and remember, bass fishing dictates the entire freshwater industry. It doesn't matter what other type of or species of fish you're fishing for, because the bass fishing area in the United States, more people are making more money in that arena. It dictates every other species of fishing. That's just the way it is these days. So when you're transitioning in, the basics are always stick with whatever the professionals are not doing. That's what you should be doing. Okay. You don't, because professionals, God bless them, but their intent is they are a mini industry. Their goal is to sell you products.
Yeah, exactly.
And
they know what they're doing, but they want to make sure they push that product onto they know what they're doing, so they want to, but they got to make money too. So they're like,
that's right. I mean, Kevin Van Dam is an industry. He is the industry. Yeah. And every time he touched something is because he's making money with it every single time. And so for that reason, you kind of have to be careful in some of these cases. But just know in general what you're looking for as you're transitioning here, stick with monofilament or floral clear at the most, but monofilament. So strand magnethin will be good. Shimano red letter is another good one. That's it's a little bit more expensive, but Shimano red letter is pretty good. I would stick with anything made by Berkley or anything made by Strand by name, but because Strand and Berkley are owned by the same company. But if it says Strand or if it says Berkley on it, you're in a good place.
Yeah.
For monofilament. And the best break strength is 8-pound test. That's the best.
I don't even think I know what to do with that.
Well, that's the whole point. You don't need to know. Because what will happen is you'll get started and you'll start feeling your way through it.
Okay. Oh, man. I've got a lot to learn.
It's kind of like this though, Shireena. Do you remember when whenever you first started driving? Okay, so you sit down, you're like, okay, I gotta make sure I got my seatbelt on. I gotta make sure I can see I gotta measure the rear mirror. I gotta, you know what I mean? I gotta do this. I gotta make sure I stay in my lane.
Yes. When you first learned how to drive,
I was afraid to start driving. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I waited like months before I even went to get my license. So see, I might wait months and months before I try to start this bass fishing stuff. I mean, I got my rod and reel.
Think of this though, Shireena.
The strand magnethin.
Okay, so you know when you were younger and everything. Well, not when you were younger, but you know what I'm saying. Whenever you're like
you
late,
already called me old.
Okay, but you know how you're driving. You know how you're driving to your job, and you're like, "Oh man, I'm late," and you're like driving, putting your eyeliner on, or you're messing with your hair while you're driving, while you're doing everything. So if you could be driving on the road, paying attention to everything, putting your eyeliner or messing with your hair, going probably faster than what you should be doing because you're late. You know what I mean? You can handle this bass stuff.
Okay.
And do everything like that. You can handle this bass stuff. You'll be fine. You know what I mean? It just seems more intimidating than it is.
Well, I have a few videos on my channel where I talk about beginner fishermen. As a matter of fact, I got a few more lined up for 2023. But here are the basics. The basic thing is to get a rod and a reel that you're comfortable with. That's the number one thing, to get a rod and reel that you're comfortable with. You want to stick with a medium, what they call a medium taper or a medium heavy rod. And you want to stick with monofilament. Once you get there, the reel size can be a 2,000 or a 3,000. You're done. If you want to do it as a combo, if you want to go buy a combo, just make sure that your rod says medium or medium heavy. I try to stay away from the industry speak, but you want to stick with a medium or medium heavy. Yeah. And your fishing line, 8-pound test break strength.
Yeah.
Now this says medium heavy.
Okay.
We saw this the last time. And
that medium heavy power.
That's really all I can say.
Yeah, that's and that's all. You want to string that with. In your case, you have a bait caster. Put 8-pound test on there. 8-pound test monofilament.
And I think I have 10-pound braid on here.
Thank you, Catfish Fever.
On here.
And the thing is, Malik, yeah, definitely. That's a nice hoodie too, man.
Thank you.
You'll be able to get all the new merch out and everything. These people
yes. I have the link to the his merch in the description. So, guys, if you want to check that out,
thank you.
Yeah, y'all check that out in the description, definitely. And Malik, you said start about a medium heavy to a medium, and you said make sure you use like 8-pound mono would be the best. So, like mono stretches. So that stretching of the mono, that'll give you a little bit more leeway with the medium heavy for it being stiffer, right? Like they'll also
Correct.
help.
Correct.
They'll help out in that section as well, guys. So
Jarrell's the bad guy.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes, you want to and I wouldn't have said that if I was talking directly to you, Shireena. I wouldn't have told you that technology. But suffice it to say, yes, there is that technological component to making sure that when you hook a fish, that you don't snatch the bait out of the fish's mouth.
Yeah.
That's what that has to do with. Yeah.
And also there's also a thing like I don't
so
know
I
how many
want a line that stretches, correct?
No, just go 8-pound test mono. That just stick there. Don't go deeper than that.
Okay.
8-pound test mono.
Let me write this
down. Like I said, I don't know how many bass fishermen guys are in here right now, but have you ever seen when you watch them on TV, how they set the hook, they put their chest into it, and they keep that rod bent? They got to keep that rod bent to keep that hook pinned and to keep that pressure pinned in that hook in the fish's mouth. So if you're using like a medium heavy and you have like a strong braid, but this doesn't include like top water fishing. So if you're like open water fishing with like braid and medium heavy and you're using trebles, yeah, man, you're gonna rip them trebles out of that fish's mouth because with that strong rod and with that braid that doesn't stretch, that's a whole lot of those extremely sharp treble hooks that are like, that you're using. That's not a good combination with those hooks being that sharp. Stiff rod, line that don't stretch, you're gonna rip that hook right out of that fish's mouth, and you're gonna be thinking, how do you get off if I'm using trebles? Well, that's when that rod and that line comes into play.
Yeah.
So,
you want to make sure that there's a lot of, as you mature in this area of our sport, you start to figure those little things out. But in general, if you start with the basics, 8-pound test. 8-pound test is small enough to deal with smaller baits and heavy enough to deal with bigger baits, because you're not fishing your fishing line is not for the fish, it's for the bait.
Yeah, exactly.
It's more for the bait. The overwhelming number of fish can be caught on 6 to 8 pound test. Yeah. But it's where you're going to fish, and it's how you're going to use that bait, how you throw that bait. Yeah. So for me, that's where that is. And I would suggest that for any beginner fisherman, you don't focus on all that high-end tech. Just make sure that the rod that you're purchasing is a medium or medium heavy. Yeah. And you got 8-pound test. And from there, you just try all the bait you want to try. You're going to lose some. Just be ready to lose some. But don't do all the heavy stuff. Don't do all the heavy stuff. As far as a gear ratio, Laughing Catfishing is asking, as far as a gear ratio, I stick with the 6-2 to 1 because it's a good medium for me and my technique. But most reels, if you get in a 5-2 to 1 to 6-2 to 1, you're in the sweet spot. Yeah. Yeah. For bass fishing, and I saw a person who made mention of how fast you have to reel in for bass. You don't. That's what the tournament guys do, because they are on a 6 hour. They're very limited as to how long they could be out on the water. Right. But if you're fun fishing, no, you can play that fish for a long time. Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah. The goal is not to make sure that you can reel them in fast. The goal is to make sure, as you said, Jarrell, earlier, that the fish stays pinned. Yeah. You want to make sure that you have enough pressure on that fish. And for that matter, it doesn't matter what fish you're going for. If you're fishing for carp, you want to make sure, because you generally use smaller hooks than we bass fishermen do. So you want to make sure that fish is pinned. And if that fish is not pinned, it doesn't matter what your gear ratio is, how your fishing line, anything like that. Nothing matters if you can't keep that fish pinned. So you make sure that you have enough pressure on that fish so that you can wear that fish out.
Yeah.
Then get them in.
Yeah.
Get them in.
Kind of like what you said about the pros, like the professionals. When have you seen a professional just having fun reeling in that fish? Man, they are mad looking, reeling it in fast. They're like skipping that bass across the water because they don't care about having fun. They don't care about that. They want that fish in the boat in their live well.
That's right. They're bait casters. So if you're throwing a bait caster, a lot of them love that 8-to-1 or 9-to-1 gear ratio.
Yeah, that's too fast.
Because they want to get that line in fast.
Yeah.
My sweet spot for the one bait caster that I throw is a 7-1-to-1. And that's fast enough. That's fast enough. I would recommend, if a person who's throwing bait casters, anything from 6.5 or 6.6-to-1 all the way to maybe a 7.3-to-1, that is your sweet spot. When you're getting above that, you're moving too fast as a beginner fisherman. And when you're below 6.6 for a bait caster, it's too slow for the techniques of a bait cast combo.
Yeah, I use 7.2-to-1 for my top water top water rod reels, because that slack, you got to hurry ruling that slack so you can set the hook when you're using those top water baits. But like you said, beginners stick to that. To me, 6.2-to-1's my sweet spot, and I have 2 or 3 of those. I think I have a 3 or 4 7 too, but
this one is 6.3-to-1.
6.3-to-1. 6.3-to-1 is a little slow. It's a little slow. For bait casters, 6.3-to-1 is a little bit slow, only because the way you fish a bait cast combo is different than fishing a spinning combo. And for the techniques, it can be a little slow. So you just remember, you may need at some point to upgrade your reel to a 6.6 or faster.
Okay.
But I wouldn't do anything now. Use what you got.
Yeah, you're fine. You're fine, Shireena. You're a beginner.
Use what you got.
Start doing the basics, and once you start catching bass, having fun with it, getting everything, start dialing everything, get used to everything, then you can start like, okay, hey, let me get this one, let me get this reel with this rod. Then you can start like adding to your arsenal, kind of just like what you did with carp fishing. You know what I mean? Like, look when you started carp fishing, or just when you started fishing. Look at the stuff you used at the beginning, and then now look at the stuff you got now. You got a whole lot.
I learned all that by accident.
Welcome to fishing.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's all right.
So
none of it's on purpose.
It does
try a bunch of things and see what works.
I mean, sometimes you need to make sure that you bring in your kitchen sink. Make sure it's on your boat, because you might have to throw it in there.
This reel has been driving me crazy. I've tried to cast harder, cast slower, it's just I've blamed it for being messed up. So I mean, I'm still trying.
It's not. Low profile bait cast reels are technique unto themselves.
They're very finicky.
They're very meticulous. And so you have to learn the technique of a low profile bait cast combo in general, the reel specifically, so that you can be effective with it. The spinning gear, on the other hand, doesn't require that same level of specific technique.
Mm-hmm.
So some of the Laughing Catfish asked the question, why is it that I prefer spinning reels? As I mentioned in the last live, that's what I grew up with. There was nothing, and it became a personal preference. And I have tried moving over to bait casters, but I can throw a frog, I can punch, I can throw moving baits a lot better with spinning equipment than I can with bait casting equipment, and I have a lot more fun doing it. And then also, I've always been in a situation where I was always with someone who was less experienced than I was, and I didn't want to have equipment with me that I couldn't share. Mm-hmm. So, even now, with I still have 3 young children at home, And you know, sometimes if I catch a fish, I just want to hand it to them, and I do it all the time. I'll hook into a fish and I'll just push it off to whomever's next to me and let them catch the fish. And so for me, fishing has to be non-complicated. Now, if I were a tournament fisherman or dedicated in that way, I probably would use more bait cast equipment. However, since I'm still in that teaching phase, I am primarily spinning equipment. But you know, I'm an old dog now. So now, but now having said that, I think I mentioned in my last broadcast, I actually won a high-end bait cast rod, and I bought a high-end reel to go with it. And I do use it, and I do have fun with it. As a matter of fact, I took it out with me the last time I went out to Mount Shasta. Had a marvelous time with it. My technique needs to mature a little bit, but oh yeah, no doubt about it. So for most fishing, it's always about preference. When you get into tournament bass fishing specifically, they tend to use more of the bait cast reels because the industry matured with a bait cast reel. There was a time when the bait cast reel was a lot better in terms of in terms of drag, in terms of techniques and so forth than the spinning. That doesn't exist anymore. I'm just telling you right now, there's nothing you can do with a bait cast reel that you cannot do with a spinning reel. As a matter of fact, I'll even add to it, the drag on a spinning reel is a lot higher, generally speaking, than it is for bait casters. Your average bait caster the drag is only between 11 and 13 pounds. I know Tatula is doing a little bit better, but your average break strength for a spinning reel is upwards of 20 pounds. So that alone tells you how far the spinning reel has come versus the bait caster. But I say get out there with whatever you like. And just get out there and start fishing.
Like, here's a tip, and this is kind of like, so you know what I mean? I was young. I used to watch Bill Dance, Al Lindner, everybody, you know what I mean? Like, everyone, you know? And I'm like, man, I always wanted one of those reels, you know what I mean? Because I'm always using 30 stuff. I'm like, man, those reels look so cool. I got older. I was about 14. Got one, right?
Thank you, ELDTV.
Yeah, casted it, backlash. I'm like, hold up, man, what happened?
So
after trying it, and this is how I learned to start. This is how I figured out to start using bait cast reels. And I told Trainer about this too as well. This is what I did. I spooled it with 65-pound braid because braid is the thicker, and it's also easier to undo the backlash than mono. I used 65-pound braid. I used thick braid, and I just I was casting it like 8 yards. I'm like, okay, little bit more strength, little bit more, 12 yards. I start hitting 12 yards real good without backlashing. 15 yards. Then I slowly just start tightening that down just a little bit. And then and I think about 5 days, I got used to it. So fast forward now to about 3 years ago, I get my wife into bass fishing. She likes bass fishing. I give her, I go, hey, I want you to start off using this reel. It's a Shimano Corrado. I go, use this because it's going to be a good reel for you to use. It's not too cheap. It could get you going. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I put 65-pound braid on there, and she started doing real good with it. Like, and she just can't good, you know, because we just bank fish. She started doing about 30-yard casts with it. You know, she'll backlash every now and then, but me showing her, me just teaching her how I learned, it helped out a lot. She still don't like using them though because she doesn't want to backlash at all, ever. But I'm not gonna lie, it happens to me. You know what I mean? I get overexcited and oh man, I kind of backlash. You know what I mean? So
we see that.
It's okay if you backlash, but she uses spinning reels. but she got really good at using a bait caster, but she just don't like using them. So that's all I was telling Shireena.
For a lot of people, it's one way or
yeah. So I told Shireena a couple weeks ago, spool that thing up with 65-pound braid and just cast it as good as you can. It don't matter if it's going 8 feet, 8 yards. Just get that down pat and slowly start easing that sensitivity off.
Right,
and
right.
Keep hitting at that 10-yard mark to loosen up that sensitivity. Just keep going more and more without you can start doing it. And then before that, you'll be fine. Like because
see, Jarrell, I started fishing with a low profile bait caster. Okay,
there you go.
First cast, perfect. So I've always used bait casters. So you know,
it's always about what you
whenever I got this one, it just, I don't know, it puzzled me. I'm like, why can I not use this one? So I just kept blaming the Cast King. I'm like, okay, so something's wrong with that reel.
No, the conventional reel, they're bait casters, like a low profile bait caster and a conventional. They're the same thing in the ballpark. But yeah, that bass reel, that thing is like they over tune it because they don't know if you're going to be pitching little lures or a little bit heavier lures. So they really, you got to really crank down on that sensitivity. But I know for a fact you could get the hang of it. You know what I mean? I know you can. I believe it.
Well, here's the thing. I'd say just focus on what I'm going to do out there to have the best fun. Really. And yes, those low profile bait casters are designed for one reason and one reason only. Somebody's got to make some money in the industry. Okay. That's what you always have to remember in this business. It's about earning a living more than it is about making sure you have the best experience. That's the next thing. Because they want you to come back. Think about this. Fishing equipment can last you forever, and you don't have to buy expensive equipment for that reason. So the manufacturer has to figure out a way to entice you to make a purchase that is different than the purchase you have just made. That's why we have all the equipment we have. I mean, look at all this equipment. Look at all that equipment.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's just everywhere. Okay. There, you know, and here are right there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I got about 75 rods over there. And I've got, I don't know, I've been collecting this equipment for the last maybe 10 years. There's a little bit of turnover, but not much. So they have to convince us to do this kind of stuff, you know? Yeah. So
it works, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it does. It does. So but it's always about comfort level. That low profile bait caster, when you do master it, it's a beautiful reel to use. There's no doubt about it. For me, I have just always loved the how much wider an opportunity to fish with the spinning reel than I would be able to with the bait caster. Now, having said that, there is this new iteration in fishing called the bait finesse system. And the bait finesse system is they're trying to give bait cast fishermen an opportunity to compete with those of us who use spinning gear primarily in our area. I don't know how well it's going to work, but hey, more power to you. If it's going to sell some rods and reels, you know, let that happen. But just know that the industry is always about how do I sell product to people. Somebody asked me about crappie fishing. Let me see if I can get this in so you can see this. This is, oh, good Lord, really? Let me see. Let me darken it up a little bit. There we go. See that fish right there? That is that's a black crappie. That black crappie weighs 4 pounds, 4 ounces.
That's insane, man.
And it was, I caught that at Clear Lake long time ago, and it was one of the biggest crappies ever caught out of that lake.
Wow.
At 4 pounds 4 ounces. And here are some other examples of crappie that I've caught. There's some bass in there too, but there's crappie in there. Let's see. Here is.
So that answers Aaron's question. Do you crappie fish too?
Do I crappie fish? Yes,
I
crappie fish.
He does.
Yes, I love crappie fish.
You limit out on that day.
I did. I certainly did. Now, in California, you almost have to have bass equipment in order to catch crappie out here, because our crappie get 15 inches easy. That's most insane. Places in the country, especially down there in San Rayburn, where you are, those are monster sized crappie. But here, ours, like that one I showed you, was 19 and a half inches. So yeah, I love catching crappie more than I love catching any other fish. I mean, Shireena, what you like in carp, I like in crappie.
Okay.
So
you like it a lot.
Oh my goodness graciousness. And then to eat it, oh my God. I don't know if there is a better freshwater tasting fish. I just don't know where they are. Where can we find the best deals this time of year? It depends on what you're looking for. Right now, American Legacy Fishing, and I have to give a shout out to what's his name, Fishing with Gramps, up there in the Northeast. He pushes American Legacy Fishing a lot. So I hooked up into their rewards program. They got this thing now where you can buy a rod, and they take 40% of that cost and save and put it into a rewards program that you can use like cash for the next purchase. That's just right off the top. Right. Yeah, I mean, there's certain limitations, but just imagine if you bought a Dobbins Ecstasy, which is a $500 rod, and you're only paying $300 for the rod, and that other $200 spends like cash for whatever else they got in the on their.
Wow.
Yeah. That's what those are deals.
Good deal.
Omnia Fish. There's a guy I follow his name is Brian with Punch Fishing. And he's got a little discount code that I like to use a lot. But they have right now, they got 25% off of all the Yamamoto stuff. And that's always, if you can get discounts off of Yamamoto, you're always doing good. So what I teach on my channel, however, is with patience, you can usually get that 25% all the way down to half off if you're working in the right area, So, for example, I got some rods like my NRX Plus. My NRX Plus is a $625 rod that I got for like $3-something. Yeah, this stuff like that. But you have to count your rewards points and the sales. You got to get them all around at the same time, and it requires a little bit of patience. But with that patience, you get exactly what you're looking for.
You see that in the chat? They're already wanting you back.
Listen, I don't mind coming back as often as you will have me. I think this is a humbling experience that anyone wants to hear me. I'll be honest with you. I speak for a living. I mean, this is what I do, but I'm always in awe.
And it's amazing.
Oh, praise the Lord. I'm always in awe that I can be an influence on any individual. I mean, last night, we're going into Bible study last night, and I'm looking at all the cars in the parking lot, and I'm going, wow, Lord, this is amazing. And I felt like a spectator. I really did, and I pastored a church. So it's always going to be like that. Yeah. Yes, Gary Yamamoto is still alive and well and doing tournaments. He's doing his thing.
I've seen a few of those.
I have no idea who that is.
Gary Yamamoto of Yamamoto Baits.
Yeah.
He has some high-end plastic baits. He's one of the high-end producers in the business. But yeah,
He has the
he's still
best
down there.
ego.
He's in Arizona. I mean, if Gary Yamamoto dies, that's news. I mean, it's going to be news in the area,
Yeah,
you know, in places where you don't even fish. That's because he's industry. So, I see you, Sluggo, but there was another issue about having us do some sort of a crappie something together. A couple of oh, there it is, right there. Have me on for a crappie segment. Oh, that would be nice.
Well,
I'd love to talk crappie.
I will have you on as long as you want to come on, you know, because I'm learning things and yeah. So
okay.
You guys want to have Malik back? We will have him back.
Okay, that sounds fantastic. Oh yeah, and
So
I
guys,
love to talk. I mean, we could fill up an hour and a half with just crappie. Oh my goodness.
Okay. And maybe I can try to figure. I don't, you know, since I don't know about it, I don't know where to start. You know how like you have a outline per se.
Yes.
Maybe I could, or you could, come up with an outline and just.
Yeah, I can do that.
Because I don't know. I wouldn't know where to begin.
Yeah, I most definitely. One of the things that you will learn from me is I always start every approach to every species as a multi-species fisherman. I don't have a particular rod that's just for crappie or just for bass, etc. There are specific techniques that demand it. For example, a frog rod cannot be a multi-species rod. You're not going to take your drop shot rod and put a frog on it. That's not going to happen. Yeah, this is one thing. However, I would not start a beginner fisherman with a drop shot. No. I'm going to start you off with a 2-inch crappie bait, curly tail, because you can catch bass and you can catch crappie with those. You know, those are the kinds of things that I would start you off with. If you're just getting into crappie fishing, that's what I would start you off with. You're going to start off with something that if you're going for crappie, if you're going for bass, it's something that's more multi-species. That way you learn how to fish. Because remember what I said at the beginning of this live stream, the goal right now is to get out there and do some fishing.
Yeah.
Because for so many of us, we haven't been able to do it. Even here in California where it's not supposed to rain. I mean, Redding, California, where I live, we've had more snow this year than we've had in the previous 5 years combined. I mean, it seemed like every week it's snowing. Every week. You know,
I know it's like this time of year for like everybody. You remember that little kids game? That like the little fish's mouth open?
I love the fish with the
like that. People be killing to be doing that right there. Like, you know what I mean? Like you said, the goal is just get out there and fish because the weather's all cold. You don't care what you catch. You're like, hey man, I just want to go out and go catch anything, you know? Like, you know, it's true.
There's a guy up in the northeast. He's in southern Illinois. His name is Tackle Junkie. Tackle Junkie is stuck in South Illinois because it keeps snowing where he is.
Yeah.
You know, and he does gear reviews and stuff now because he can't do anything else. You know, and so could you imagine being pent up that long, or Debo over in Iowa being pent up that long, and then you talking about just doing one type of fishing? No, you just want to be able to fill the tub no matter what it is. You know?
Well, we're getting ready to have our river's about to flood, and it's going to get up to about 26 feet. And,
oh, my Lord.
Yeah, and it's going to be on the back deck. And like you say, I have been waiting and waiting to fish that river, and it was perfect. So you know what? When it gets up there, I am fishing off the back deck. I don't care if I catch anything. I just want to keep fishing.
Just be safe. That's all I ask.
Yes. I'm going to get my waders out.
So be safe.
I will.
Okay. We don't want to be like, she was a good woman. Lord, she's a good woman.
Oh my God!
You have my church sending the funeral home a proclamation. Oh my goodness! Yes, indeed.
Let's see.
a monthly guest with a different topic. Oh, that's impressive.
Yeah.
Well, you know,
and
they're go ahead.
Boots right there.
Yes.
I probably
You know,
shouldn't have said that. Okay, that's
well,
my mom.
you know, the interesting thing. Oh, is that right? Oh my goodness.
And she
That's
she
right,
does
He's gonna be
not
Mom.
calling you
like
after the show
me
now.
being out there when it's like that. So
Mm-hmm.
I will be safe, Mom.
We
I
want you. We
promise.
want you to be safe. Boots said, "Be safe." Now
Yeah.
that I know Boots' mama. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, we
She's gonna be
we're
calling you now.
on the same team.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. You got to do it. Well, you know, water fluctuations are happening all over the country, whether you're in the Tennessee Valley area or whether you're here in California, where we like to let go 95% of our fresh water. You do want to be safe. Our largest lake in California is Shasta Lake. Shasta Lake in January was about 65 or 70 feet down from crest. It is now within 20 feet of crest. That's how much water. And we're talking about 365 miles of shoreline. This is enough water. This one lake has enough water. If there was no other water source and there was no refill, Shasta Lake could take care of all 40 million Californians for almost a year. That's how much water's in there.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a lot of water in that lake. Yeah. So in a lot of that water, like I said, it went from about 65 or 70 feet low all the way up to now we're within 20 feet. That's a lot of water to be concerned about. So, you know, the safety, and that's probably a segment we could talk about. And bank fishermen don't think they need to be as safe as boat fishermen. But there are times when you might need to put a safety harness on or put on a, something to be safe with you when you're going out fishing. And these days, you even might want to let people know where you are.
Yeah.
Don't go by yourself.
I mean, there's always
Mhm.
stories about, hey, so and so went out fishing. Have you seen them? It's always all over the newspapers, everything, like everywhere.
It happens here. It happens here a lot. It happens. I remember going fishing just a couple years ago, and my brother in the ministry and I, we were putting the boat out, and we see this woman just wandering along the bank, and we're wondering what is going on with her. So I go over and I introduce myself and I ask her, is there anything wrong? She says, I'm out here looking for my husband. Okay. I only saw her car out there. So I was like, well, is he up the slough rather? Because we can go and find him and bring him back to you if we need to, or at least tell him you're looking for him. She says, well, he was here last week. Lord Jesus. Really?
Gosh.
Oh.
Last week? And you looking, and
Wow.
within a half hour, once we got on the water, there were 3 guys in a kayak who followed us going up the slough looking for this guy. Oh, he really is lost.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So, these kinds of things, you gotta be careful when you're out there. And yes, you could do an entire segment on being safe on the water.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah. And
That
guys
might be
like
something we
me,
can do in the future.
yeah. Sometimes you can get a little cavalier. The longer you've been in this sport, the less you are concerned about yourself, and it should work in the opposite manner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
See, I have a 20-foot drop off out there.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, Shireena. Go ahead. What'd you say?
I said I have a 20-foot drop out there. So
Yeah.
I mean, and we have like little holes out there, and it can take nothing to trip. And
Yeah.
When I go fishing, and even when I go bank fishing in new areas, this is on me all the time. Period. I have this. I always carry this with me, and as you can see, it's small enough to not get in my way. But when I need it, I got it. So yeah, that would be a really good segment to talk about just being out there and being safe, because the goal is always to get back and have fish stories and not be a story about fishing.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
So the title for my next, what was that? If someone talked about a title for my next something.
Oh,
It,
oh, it was,
they're
okay.
coming hot and heavy.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Has
Safety
a title
while
for his next
fishing.
appearance. Oh, safety while fishing. There you go.
Well, so far we've got
Yes.
safety in fishing, and we have crappie. So that's 2 right there, guys.
Yeah, safety. Yeah, because I mean, well, I'll save it because I'm sure that's going to be one. Like I get lazy
Don't
out
save
there.
it.
I
Go
know a lot
ahead.
of other people do. I'm like, whatever. I don't feel like doing it, but that's everybody's guilty of it.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, but yeah.
Well, and safety can also be, it's not just the human factor. We are out more and more where there are wild animals, and we need to be careful about that as well. That's another part of safety. I remember going fishing one time with one of my uncles, and we had some anchovies. Now during the day it was no problem, but nighttime we started noticing that there were rats who were coming over to where the anchovies were and just going in them as if we weren't even standing there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Now here in California, well, you guys are in Indiana, and Texas. You guys, you can sidearm. And you can carry a sidearm to the fish bank. So we weren't in fear of something hurting us. But what do you do when the rats are going? I mean, the big ones, when they're going after your stuff, and you don't want to shoot it, But yeah, you got coyotes out there. We got them out here as well.
I've ran into mountain lions twice in the past 4 years.
Man.
Yeah.
We have a place called Whiskey Town. They're all over the place up there. The hikers are running into them over there. And we have, even on our church grounds, we got deer. And I don't know if I mentioned to you in the last live, I've been chased by deer getting into the boat. And my dad had to be ready just in case the buck got a little too close to me, because he jumped in the water after us as we were getting the boat in the water.
Oh my goodness.
Oh yes. So you can trespass on my fishing spot, man-eating ducks will get you. Yes. And why is it always backyard carp? Why is it always the ugly ducks that are always the meanest ones? You ever notice that? Next time we get on here, I'm going to show you. There's an ugly duck where I go fishing, and he doesn't have any fear whatsoever.
Yeah, it's like
oh my God.
It's like the geese.
Yeah, the geese now I think geese just have an evil streak in them. I don't know what it is about geese, both the geese, the females and the ganders, the males, both of them, they're evil. Oh yeah.
Now fishing with Bill, we are going to do another segment on that. So
yeah,
I don't know if you want to
we'll save that question.
Okay, we'll save that.
We'll save that question.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll save that question.
But we have a bobcat out here that she came around, and we don't know if somebody shot her or anything. So it's like, when we're out there, yeah, she could be coming around.
Oh yeah.
Bobcat,
you gotta be careful.
I mean, turkeys. I don't know what turkeys would do, but
well, it depends. We have several gaggles of turkeys that come around, and I don't know. Have you ever seen a gaggle of turkeys fly all at the same time? It's a scary experience. I mean, you got these big 20-something pound animals just flying right over your head, and it's not. Ew. So when the toms are out and they're looking for a bunch of the doves, you got to be careful, because they tend to be less fearful than during the non-mating season.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And if you want a 30-pound bird to run up on you, that would be the wrong time to have one happen.
Right. So guys, hour and a half. Any more questions out there? Not about crappie.
Well, one of the things again is
we are going to catch crappie.
If you can, just get out there and have some and do some fishing. Get out there and do some fishing whenever you can.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And also like be safe. Kind of like we were talking about safety. I know a lot of people they hang it up for the winter. And then now it's getting spring. There's gonna be a lot of new people out there, or everybody's gonna start going out fishing. So yeah, y'all make sure y'all stay safe because the lakes are gonna be packed. Also, you know what I mean. Everybody's gonna be there. So last thing you need, like everybody just needs to stay safe out there because especially with these high spring winds. I don't know if over in California, man, if you're getting these high winds like we are, these winds are horrible, man. I'm like, oh my! Today was 54 mile-an-hour gust today over here.
Yeah, it's horrible. It's the same here. It's the same here. You got to worry about the wind. I mean, the natural elements are probably a bigger issue than anything else. What was the weirdest thing I have pulled out of the water? I pulled a lot of weird things out of the water. In thinking about it, I'd say the weirdest thing that I pulled out of the water was, now you got to understand at the time, I don't know what this is, but we pulled a femur out of the water. And I just remember looking into it. Yeah, femur. And so we thought that it was the human femur that something happened to somebody. The femurs that the top part of the leg. Yeah. So
I used
we
to
thought, oh my God, there's a murder. And it turned out we were in an area where there had been a recent storm and there was just a lot of material that had washed into the water where we were. It was an actual femur, but it was of a skeleton, not of a live body. Yeah. Oh, okay. And so I thank the good Lord for that.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I would say that was the weirdest thing.
What about you, Shireena? What's the weirdest thing you ever pulled out of the water over there? You had to pull out some weird stuff since it's a river you fish at. There wasn't nothing weird?
Well, no. I'd say we've pulled out a Buddha and a dragon. That's the weirdest thing we pulled out. But okay, so in my area at the bank, right? I catch a lot there, It was like bam, 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 bam. Well, the river went down, and we got that Buddha and that dragon. It totally changed. So that Buddha and that dragon, it must have been good luck or something down there. It must have been their hiding spot. I don't know. But since we've taken that out, fishing hasn't been like it used to.
The worship center has changed, huh?
Yeah, it was like you took the good luck, like you took the fishing gods as like good luck total.
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
Well, I'll tell you one thing that was very entertaining is pulling out underwear. When you pull out underwear, yeah, because you got to figure out, well, who's going to get this off the hook?
That's what I was going to say. Mine was
flip the line.
Yeah, that's exactly what I did. That's exactly what I grabbed my scissors. I'm like, I cut it.
No.
Yeah.
Mine was a pair of panties, and the other time was a flip flop.
Oh my goodness.
You really have to think that one through. And when you're throwing a bait that costs you a little bit of money, you got to wonder, what am I going to cut?
What are you going to cut or what are you going to catch?
Right. So that's why you bring a good set of right here, baby.
Yeah.
Right here. You cut right around it, and then you take your soapy water right here. And I always carry soapy water with me.
Yes, I remember you saying that last time.
Yeah. Yep. And you just rinse it off real good, and we ready for the next one.
Yeah.
That's how we do it. That's how we do it. So, but yeah. So yeah, you catch some weird things, but you see a lot of weird things happen. Did I ever tell you about the bat story with my wife and me? So I gotta tell you the story. So
Okay.
I'm fishing, we're fishing a levee, and my wife, for whatever reason, just decided she just wanted to rest for a little while. So we're on a levee. The levee's probably from the top all the way down to where the water line is probably about 70 feet. Okay, at a maybe a 4% grade. So we happen to be down there, and my wife says, I'm going to sit halfway up. Okay, no problem. So I'm fishing at the water line, and then my lovely wife gets my attention, and she says, baby, I need for you to turn around right now. I'm like, oh, okay. So I turn around, and there's a bat. And that's the middle of the afternoon. We're talking about 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. There's a bat that's walking up the levee toward her. And when I see that bat, I said, well, my love, you need to move real quick. And she goes, why? What's wrong? I said, bats don't walk up levees. They don't do it in the daytime, and they don't do it at night.
Oh.
That means that there was a snake that pushed that bat out of the ground. Just get up and walk to the top of the levee. And I grabbed my stuff, and I walked behind the bat, but up the levee. She gets to the top of the levee. That bat managed to get around her faster than she can get up the levee, and then moved down the levee. Well, we get up there, of course, and later on we see the snake. You know, Now it wasn't a poisonous snake, but it was just a fact. That's exactly what we saw. And so we remember that. Now, that was about 15 years ago, and we remember it like it just happened. You know,
I bet.
It was a strange situation. Now, you know, you see bats almost every night when you go, especially during the summertime, because they're always going after the mosquitoes and all that at night. That's just, you know, that's what bats do. As a matter of fact, there's a place where I fish where I'm underneath a bridge, and there are over 1 million bats that are underneath the bridge, and they come out at night and they catch all the mosquitoes and stuff they can, and then they go back, you know. But to see that one in the middle of the afternoon, said, that's a danger. Let's get out of here. Oh, yeah.
You said that bats don't walk.
I mean, it was just walking right up the levee. And we were like, no, it's time to go. Because nothing gets a bat out of a hole like a snake. Yes, indeed. So, but yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, that was that you know, that time went by pretty fast. An hour and 44 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, it flies when you're having fun. This is fun.
I really enjoyed it. I really have.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
well, Lord, we'll do it again.
Yes. We have a bass tournament tomorrow.
Oh, wow.
Is there any advice that you would give to our participants?
Yes. Number 1, look for the clearest water you can find. Number 2, if you want to catch numbers, go with your soft baits. If you're looking for size, go with your hard baits. Now, you have to know how much more you want to do one than the other. I always say get a limit and then go back and look for quality. But that is the basic advice that I would give all of the bass fishermen. Past being, yes, bats are necessary like bees. You're right. They really are. But yes, you want to make sure that you get your numbers in first. Get your limit first, and then go for your quality. So start off by throwing all of the plastic bait that you can. Your worms, your Ned rigs, your drop shots if necessary. I know a lot of people like to get out there and throw their chatter baits and throw their big swim baits. No, get your numbers in first, and then go back and get your quality. Because if you don't have a 5 bass limit, you're not fishing.
So guys, there it is. There's your advice if you're in the tournament tomorrow, and it is a numbers tournament, so But we
Yeah.
also have a
there
prize for
you go.
biggest bass too. We also have a prize for biggest bass too. So like you said, get your numbers first and
get your numbers first. And for those of you who got a little bit more experience, if you're throwing a topwater bait, this is exclusive to topwater fishing. If you're throwing a topwater bait, always have a big worm right next to you. Because if that fish hits that frog and misses that frog, you throw the worm back out there. Don't throw the frog, because you will catch that fish with the worm if you miss it with the frog. It's always about being in the strike zone. And that frog will not keep you in the strike zone, because you know where the fish is now. You go back there with a worm and you'll catch that fish.
Yeah, because
no doubt about it.
Yeah, like that bass, he ain't gonna hit it again.
Right.
Most of the time, he ain't gonna. He was like, "Hold up, man, that was something funny. I'm not gonna hit that again." You know, I mean, he's gonna catch on. He's gonna catch on.
I am not superstitious at all, given the fact that I have a faith in Christ. I'm not superstitious. I do have certain traditions that I have, but it's because I forget a lot of things. I forget a lot of stuff. So I always have to have my the things that I want. I always have to have them sitting right in front of the garage door, because if I don't, I'll forget it. I will forget it. I eat bananas all day on the boat, and I haven't skunked in years. Just FYI.
Yeah, I never understood that.
Yeah. And I hate flip-flops on a boat. I hate flip-flops on a boat.
That's dangerous.
Yes. What was
Too
that
many
Sluggo
travels is
said?
dangerous.
I missed that last one by Sluggo. What was his question?
Oh, okay.
Oh, the Ned rig. That's a simple yes. Yes, indeed. The Ned rig for bottom contact. If you got that little 2.5 or 3 inch bait on a 1/4 ounce, 3/16 ounce, you'll catch them. You'll catch them all day long.
Yeah, that's
that'll help you with your numbers.
Yeah, like if nothing's working at all, you done tried everything and you haven't tried a Ned rig, throw that Ned rig, you will catch something no matter what.
Ned rig that's candy to a fish.
Yeah,
that's candy to a fish. Yes, indeed. So there, you know, the joy of bass fishing is it's hard to miss catching one. The challenge is, you got everybody else who has the same experience you have.
Yeah.
So in a competitive situation, that's what brings on the tension, is the fact that you know that if the fish are biting for you, they biting for everybody.
Yeah.
So, but oh yeah. So, but thank you for having me on once again. Again, like I said, this has always been fun. I've enjoyed you all. I always watch your streams. I can't be on there for all 4 hours, but I do watch.
I appreciate you for that.
Yes, indeed.
Actually, seeing you and talking to you, man. You know, I mean, it's been
most definitely
a pleasure. It's been a pleasure.
Oh, indeed. And one of these old days, I might have to come out there. I got a daughter who's out there in Houston, and so I might have to come out there and slug it out with you, see what's going on out there.
Man, you let me know.
Yeah, you know where these spots are?
I got a lot of family in Houston too. I got a lot of family over in Houston.
Oh, praise the Lord. Oh yeah. So how far up north are you?
Probably about 4.5, about 4 hours, I'm thinking. Maybe about 4 hours.
Oh, you north of Dallas, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's some spots up in Dallas, north of Dallas. Yeah. Speaking of crappie, and I'll leave you with this. Are you familiar with crappie fishing Ken or Ken Crappie Fisherman and D Crappie? So there are 3 sticks out there. You got crappie fishing Ken, you got D Crappie out there, and then you got Justin Royal out there who are doing, all 3 of them are doing pretty good out there. They're Texas fishermen. Justin Royal he's a 6 Cents sponsor, but he fished for bass. But crappie fishing Ken and D Crappie, it's in their title.
Yeah, I'm gonna start going after. Last year I didn't touch bass at all. I didn't do no bass, but this year I'm gonna start doing my bass fishing, and I'm gonna start getting back into. I'm gonna start getting into some crappie fishing as well.
Nope. We use it for lures. What kind?
When I do, this is all I use right here. I do have I do have baits that are in liquid as well. And this is the goat baits.
Huh.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Those are the
Jarrell,
goat baits. Mm-hmm.
Yes, ma'am.
I got this sack and this stuff. Is that?
Yeah.
Oh, Bang. Yeah, Bang is
Yeah.
good. Bang is
Yeah.
good. Only
That
reason I don't
one's
use
always
Bang is
always
because
worked for me real good.
yeah,
Bang's
Bang,
always worked good for me.
yeah. The only reason why I don't use it is because I'm always in places where there are other people. And if I'm spraying it, it always gets on other people.
Like, hey man, you're getting some of that scent on me.
Right. You have to put it in a bag and spray it in the bag and then pull your lure out.
Okay.
Yeah. But other than that, oh yeah.
Funny story was,
yeah, he's good too. SK, the old man SK Crappie, he has a good channel out there as well. Mm-hmm. And he's got a lot of other crappie sticks that are on there as well. SK Crappie. Yeah, he's a cool dude. Cool dude.
that I had with that Bang. So I used to be before I got my boat, I was in my kayak bass fishing, and I always had my backpack. Right, I'm going out there, and I just keep hearing. I'm like, what's that noise? I just keep hearing. I'm going out there, and I'm like, okay, I'm just paddling my way out there on my kayak. I'm like, I'm gonna have a good day fishing. I just like, what is it? I'm like, okay, what is that? I kept hearing it. All of a sudden, I just couldn't hear it no more. I'm like, okay, here's a cool spot. I unzip my backpack. That scent just hit me. I'm like oh my gosh. I put my can of Bang in there with I didn't have the lid no more. And it was just putting that pressure. It was just, I looked at the bottom of my bag, big old oil stain. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You
gotta be careful. You gotta be careful with scents.
So
always have them in the bag.
You put that in your bag. Make sure you keep that lid on it, or you'll end up like me.
and put that in a plastic bag on top of that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. So
I've always done good with Bang. Like with that one, I have noticed between not using it and using it, it does help. It really does.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. So all right. Well, once again, thank you very much. And I look forward to doing this again.
Okay.
Yeah, no problem.
I will most definitely get in touch with you and we can set something up. And you have a phrase that you say at the end of your
yes.
Say it and that'll take us out, guys.
All right. Well, once again, thank you all for tuning in to Shireena's Keeping It Real. I mean, she is maintaining a fantastic live show that every person having to do with fishing, this is almost a must. I can say that now, having this experience. But by any standard, don't do anything to break your family's budget, trying to buy any equipment or just going fishing in general. But by the same token, both ethically and legally, do everything you can to get out there and break your personal best. We'll see you in the next opportunity. Take care and be blessed.
Good night, guys.
Good night.
Thank you. You have a great weekend.